So you've built your monthly budget. You have a plan for every single dollar. There are no extra dollars floating around there. Every single dollar has a name to it. You know where it's planned to go. What's the next step? Hi, I'm Megan with Bethel Budgets, and I'm here because it is more than just math. At some point, you've probably made a budget. You've laid out your income, you've laid out your expenses, and you thought it's simple, I'll just stick to what's on the paper. But then it didn't work out. And the reason is because it's more than just math. And that's where I come in. Let's figure this out together. Don't give up. You've got this. Today's video is going to be about the next steps. So you've built your monthly budget and you've got a plan for every single dollar. It's important to have a zero-based budget. Every single dollar knows where it's going, whether it's to savings, paying off debt, groceries, bills. Every dollar has a plan. And you even have a plan for extra income that might come in. We'll talk about that in another video. Now we're going to talk about the next step. Sometimes when you build this monthly budget, then life happens. So in order to prevent that and do the more than just math part of making your budget, we're going to talk about the next step, and that's weekly spending. You have to come up with your weekly spending plan, and then you have to check in with that. So your weekly spending plan, breaking down that monthly budget by paycheck week, helps you to get a better picture of what's actually coming in and going out and when that's happening. Once you have a better picture of when you're getting paid and when the bills are going out, then you can come up with a plan. So if you have a paycheck that has more bills coming out of it than you got paid, then you need to come up with a plan. You can there's two things you can do. You can get on the phone and call some of these companies and say, hey, this due date doesn't work out for me. And usually they're happy to move the due date for you. And that's one way you can do it. And the other way is to get a buffer, or what I call getting a month ahead. And then you can start paying those bills out of another paycheck. So, for example, at one point in my budgeting journey, my first of the month paycheck had X amount of dollars on it. I don't even remember what it was, but out of that first of the month paycheck came my mortgage, my car payment, and all of my utilities. And then there were a couple other things. Well, that was way more than what I was making on that paycheck. So it was like this moment of, no wonder my budget doesn't work out. This is crazy. Monthly, yes, it should have worked out. But when you look at it week by week, that math wasn't mathing, because it's more than just math. There were other issues there. So when I did that, I realized I had to go and break this down differently. So what I did was I used the buffer that I had built up, and I started saving, and I moved to where I was paying. So my mortgage I was actually started paying it out of the 15th of the month paycheck the month before. So March mortgage is coming up on February 15th. I would be paying that mortgage out of that paycheck. So there's all these things that you can do. But first, before you can problem solve, you have to have a plan. You have to know what the problem is. So we have to identify, and then we can figure out how to problem solve. So that's what we're doing today. I'm going to show you how to fill out the weekly spending. And then we'll talk about problem solving and how you can get around this if this is identifying some problems for you. And maybe this is why your math isn't mathing, because budgets are more than just math. Let's get into this. Okay, so when you're doing your weekly spending plan, you want to have two things available. You want to have your monthly budget, which I have here on my Remarkable, but I've also pulled it up on the screen for you to see. So that's what's over here on the left. So we've got my Remarkable 2 is connected to my computer and my phone. So I have my budget over here. And then we have our Google Sheets. We're going to use Google Sheets for this because there's so much math involved that it's just so much easier than writing things down. I love writing things down. I love writing things down on my Remarkable 2, but sometimes it's just faster to use a Google Sheet and have that do the math for you. So we're going to use a Google Sheet for the weekly spending plan. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that all of our categories came over from our master copy. so that all of these in the categories are the same as our master copy. Then we're going to be checking our due dates. So they've all come over from the master copy. They should be right, but I've changed my electricity due date. It used to be the end of the month and I got tired of it creeping into the next month. So I'm just calling it, we're putting it at the beginning of February instead of the end of January. So that's our electricity. And then I pay my kids their income. I do the budgeting with the kids. I do that on the second Saturday of the month. So they get their income. So I want to make sure that I've changed those dates, and I have. I already changed those dates. So the second Saturday this month is the 10th. So we're going to put those in there. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to come across the top and you're going to put in the paycheck dates that you have. So I get paid 3 times a month. I get paid on the 1st. Oops. And my husband gets paid around the 4th and around the 15th. Now, some of you might have 4 paychecks, some of you might have 5, some of you might have 8, because between you and your spouse, what you're going to do is you're going to keep this to like the 4-week idea. So you're going to do this 4 weeks. I guarantee you're not going to want to do this more than 4 times in a month. So you're going to, whatever dates are close, like if I had more than this many paychecks, I might combine my 1st and 4th paycheck because they're so close. I would put them on the same week column. But you'll have to play with this and see what works for you. So we put that there. Then you're going to come over here and put your amounts in there. So I know my paycheck amounts. Put those there. The next thing you're going to do is come over and fill in your due dates and your planned spending in your category columns. Make sure all of these, so your due dates already came through. I want you to fill in your planned spending. This comes directly from your monthly budget. When you started, this is your planned income. When you get to the bottom of this column, your planned expenditures will be the same number. So this number is your planned expenses, and your planned income should be the same number, so that we're making sure we have a plan for every single dollar. I'm going to go ahead and enter these numbers in, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, you can see I got to the bottom of my column and this number did not match my planned income. My planned income was way higher than that. So now I have to go back through and see what I did. So I already did that, of course, while I was speeding up the camera, but this is my planned income and that was my planned expenses. It was the tithe. I just did my 10% off my first paycheck instead of the whole number that I planned for. So now 7224 is my planned and 7224. We match, so we can go on to the next step. So what we're going to be doing here is we are going to take this money from our first paycheck and we're going to plan it out for this whole first week until we get down to the bottom, and that number equals 0 here. So this is what we have right now. As we enter numbers into the budgeted category, this remaining category auto-calculates for us. So it keeps a rolling tally of what we do as we go. So if we take the first thing we do every single time we get paid is we pay our tithe. So if I put that number in here, you can see this is auto-calculating that this is what we have left. So it's going to do that as we go down for the whole month until we get down to the bottom. And what we want is for this to equal 0 at the end of every month, because we are doing a zero-based budget. Or every week, I'm sorry, at the bottom of every week column, because we are doing a zero-based budget and we want to make sure that every dollar has a name. And I'm not just going to start randomly plugging in numbers. What makes the most sense to me is to go by due date, and I plug these in first because that's what we're figuring out. We've got our whole monthly picture and we want to make sure we have enough money in our week to cover the bills that come out in our week. So the 7th, I'm paying $150 for my water bill. So this column here is for my first of the month paycheck. This column here is my 4th of the month paycheck, and this column is my 15th. So I'm going to pay that here out of my 4th of the month paycheck. Oh, whoops, I forgot to do my tithes first. First, before I do anything else, tithes. And that cues that in to start that rolling that rolling remaining balance too. So that number is not red anymore. Now, natural gas, we've got that comes out on the 2nd, so I put that here. And electricity also comes out on the 2nd. The 10th, I can pay out of the 4th of the month, so I'll put that there. Groceries, this is something that makes my life so much easier when I'm doing this. I can, the 1st and the 4th are so close together. I usually end up putting somewhere between $25 and $100 in this first week category. And then I usually split the rest between the 4th of the month and the 15th. In an ideal world, I'd get paid twice a month, and I'd split that right down the middle, and I'd have $600 on the 1st of the month and $600 on the 15th. But the groceries and the dining out, things like that don't have due dates, that you can kind of fudge, and you could put $33 in 1 week and just to make the numbers work. So I come back and do those a little bit later towards the end. Again, also my lump sums, I skipped that one for you, but my lump sums I like to pay at the end of the month. So we'll go back up to that. So no due dates here. We're sticking to due dates as our first task. 11th, so this is the 1st of the month, 4th of the month, 15th would be too late. So we're putting it here under the 4th of the month. 2nd of the month goes under the 1st of the month paycheck. This one is many due dates. This is my Netflix, my Disney Plus, my all of my subscriptions, my Bark, keep an eye on the kids, accountable to you. So sometimes I need to split that out. Those are a list of all the different due dates. But I know, because I've been doing this a long time, that it's safe to pay that all on that first due date. So I can just put that money here, and I know that that'll cover it for the rest of the month. Education tuition comes out on the 17th, so I can put that here. Gym comes out on the 17th, so I will put that on the 15th of the month paycheck. Mortgage is the 1st of the month, which is why the 1st of the month tends to be so heavy. Other due dates, so I pay my children their income on the 10th, the second Saturday of the month. We sit down and do our budgets together. So that's all of the due dates. You can see I have $351 left to spend in this first week paycheck. So now let's go back up and look at some of these things that I can split. I like to go all the way back up to the top. First of all, my lump sum payments, I'm going to stick that towards the end of the month, because I like to think that I will have, it didn't happen in January, but I like to think that I'm going to have extra money to apply to savings or extra money to apply to debt payoff. So I put those things on the 15th so that I can see how much money I have left, and maybe I can turn that number into 400 and apply that there. So I'm going to do that with my lump sum savings, and I'm going to do that with my debt payoff. So let's go down to debt. My medical debt, I'm going to put that over here too. While I'm here, my extra house payment, I like to put that, I do my house payment here, my extra house payment on that next paycheck. So I'm just going to put that there. Now, this number, as I've gone across and I've applied that 10%, this number, my planned number, is now the same as my allocated number. This category number is now the same as my allocated number for the category. So that category is completely done. We're good there. Same for savings. Same for housing. Now, I said we were coming up to play with these groceries and things. So family dining out, I can split in half. Date night dining out, I split in half. So that's 100 here and 100 at the 15th. So we're doing 1st and 15th. And I do the same thing with fellowship, because I don't know exactly when we're going to go eat out. Sometimes I do, and if I have that on the calendar, I'll specifically apply a due date there. But I just like to make sure I have $50. If I was doing this in a cash envelope, I'd like to make sure I have $50 in my cash envelope for fellowship so I can go out to coffee with a friend and I have that there and ready. So that's how you can think of that. So I'd like to just split my groceries, but I know that's not exactly how that's going to work. Let's go down and see how much money we have left. We have $101 left in this week to spend, and I don't have anything in groceries and gas. Those are two pretty important things. I'm going to split them evenly. So I'm going to do 50 for gas and 51 for groceries. If I had a bigger car, I'd probably put the dollar in gas. But I know, so some of you might be panicking, like, that's not enough for groceries, but my next paycheck is just 4 days later. So I know I'll be okay. I know I'll be okay for 4 days. Okay, so when we put our 50 and our 51 in our groceries, we can come down here and we can see that we are totally balanced out. That whole first paycheck of the month is all planned out. We are a zero balanced budget. Every dollar has a name. Now we need to go apply all the rest of this to the rest of the second paycheck until this number comes out to zero. As you can see, we have about 919 left to budget. I have 1200 minus 51. Probably would like to just divide that number in half. That is $1,149 left. I'll divide that in two. That would be 575 here and 574 here. And then that category is complete. Our car wash. Okay, so we need to figure out the gas and car wash. So I have $300 left in my gas for the month. And I like to divide that one in half. So I've got, if I take out the 50 that I put in that first week, that's 250 left. Divide that by 2. I don't need a calculator for this. It's 125 on the 4th, and it's 125 on the 15th. And let's see, I'll put my car wash on the 4th. So let's check our categories. We have our giving is completely allocated. Our savings completely allocated. Housing completely allocated. Food is now completely allocated. Transportation, we just did that. It's completely allocated. Now we need to do our shopping. So we're working out of the 4th and the 15th now. And like I said, I like to divide these things in half. So we've got 75 here and 75 here. We've got hair. We don't have an appointment for that yet. I'm going to put it on the 4th so we can go anytime we need to this month. And the same thing with birthdays. These aren't for my kids' birthdays. I have sinking funds for kids' birthdays. This birthday fund is for birthday invitations that my kids get from friends. So they get invited to a birthday party. Now I have a fund for them to get a birthday present for those birthdays. So the personal is completely allocated. Lifestyle is completely allocated. Health, we got $300 to play with here. So we just went to the doctor. My daughter and I both did. So I think we're good on doctors for a while. I like to divide the medicine and vitamins, supplements in half because I never know when we'll run out of what. Now I can see we're going to be moving some numbers around. So we get some red numbers here. But this, for now, this is allocated. This is allocated. Insurance. Okay, we didn't put anything in my husband's. So we'll put that there. Okay, so we have 369 we need to put into this second month because we can't have $369 just extra money, because it's not extra money, because remember, we did our monthly budget and we know that every single dollar has a name. If I walk around for this week thinking, oh, I've got $369 to spend, I'm going to blow it. I'm going to spend it on something dumb, and it's going to mess up my budget. And not only am I spend $369, no, I'm going to spend like 425, and it's like, it's close enough, but that's nowhere near 369, and then I've double blown my budget. So that's bad news. We're going to go find those $369 and move it back over. Now, like I said, my favorite place to do this is groceries. Groceries is an easy place to move things over, because right now I'm split pretty evenly in half. I can move that money over. And how much did I say? I don't remember. I need to write it down. $369. I can move all $369 over to this second week here on the 4th. And then, so what's 575 plus 369? So that's $944. If I change this to $944, I can plan ahead and do my extra grocery shopping. Or when I get to the end of this month or this week, if I have extra money, that becomes like the envelope system. If I have an envelope with $944 and I only spend $574, well, then I still have that money in that envelope. So I'm tracking it that way. But now I am not allocated anymore. I've got 1,200 here and 15 here. So I forgot to take out the 369 there. So I have to take 574 minus 369. So that's 205 to change that. So now I am all balanced and everything is allocated. So if I come down for the second week, it should be 0, and the third week is 0. So that's not bad. See why groceries are my favorite to move things around. I could have played with some gas, or I could have played with the vitamins, or, it just depends on what events I have going on or what I'm going to run out of. You have to have a good idea of your calendar and where you stand with your groceries and everything before you make your weekly spending plan. But what you've done is you've created a monthly budget that has zero-based budget. Every dollar has a name. Now you've taken that big picture and you've made it down to a weekly picture of a zero-based weekly, by paycheck picture of what your budget's going to be like. So then the next step, you're going to come back with me after this first of the paycheck is spent, and we're going to go and we're going to look at what we actually spent. We're going to close that week out. So we're going to do a closeout of each week and see how we did. And we're going to look at it. And did we spend extra? Oops. How are we going to fix that? Do we have extra money left over? Why? Did something not get paid when it was supposed to get paid? Did it not come out? Did we over budget? Do we need to do better budgeting next time? And so we're going to figure out week by week what's happening with our math. Why is our math not mathing? So this just helps us get a grip on why it's more than just math, and helps us to do better when life gets hard. So I hope this helped you. I hope you will fill out your weekly spending plan and come join me to learn how to close out your weekly spending. And I just want you to keep going. Don't give up. You've got this.